and welcome our blog viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we begin tonight's news with the major in top highlights. Let's follow. The head of state receives the Somali Prime Minister. And returned from the medical assistance mission that was sent to Somalia by the government of Djibouti. And on the international scene, Ebola fear is gaining ground in Uganda. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received late Thursday morning at the Palace of the Republic the Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Mr. Hamza Abdi Bare, in Djibouti since last Tuesday, where he is on a working visit under the sign of strengthening the ties of brotherhood, friendship, and cooperation between the two countries and peoples. The audience between the head of state and the Somali Prime Minister served from the outset as a framework for the development of an overview of relations of exchange and cooperation between the two sister nations, with exceptional ties woven by the thread of geographical proximity in the community of culture, values, and language. It then allowed both parties to identify processes additive of cooperation likely to instill a new dynamic in the exchanges that the two nations maintain in almost all areas of development. The economy and trade, telecommunications, the transfer of skills, especially in the port sector, are among others the key areas around which the Republic of Djibouti and the Federal Republic of Somalia maintain a fruitful cooperation. In addition to the bilateral component, the talks were also used to exchange on the evolution of the situation in Somalia, including the progress of the ambitious program of the Somali state to restore full security throughout its territory. As a strong supporter of peace, security, and stability in Somalia, the Republic of Djibouti has a military contingent within the forces of the African Union Transitional Mission in Somalia. During his audience with the President of the Republic, the Somali Prime Minister was accompanied by a high-level delegation from his country, including the Minister of Mineral Resources and Oil, Mr. Abdurazak Mohammed Umar, the Minister of State for Security, Mr. Mohammed Ali Haga, the Minister for the Advancement of Women, Mrs. Khadija Mohammed Dire, the Minister Delegate for Agriculture, Mrs. Zahra Ege, and parliamentarians Abdurrashid Mohammed Idig and Khadra Mohammed. Note the presence of the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Somalia to the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Salad Ali. On the Djiboutian side, the Prime Minister Abdul Ghadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, the Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries and Fishery Resources, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awale, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed Nuh Hassan, the Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gidi, and the Head of Affairs of the Republic of Djibouti to the Federal Republic of Somalia, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim Yusuf, took part in this meeting. The Somali Prime Minister, Mr. Hamza Abdi, indicated that he would come in response to an invitation he received from his Djiboutian counterpart. Listen.
Somali Prime Minister explained in an intervention granted to the National Channel that this working visit comes after the invitation of the Prime Minister of Djibouti. He then recalled that the objective of this visit is to further strengthen the existing fraternal ties between the two countries. The Somali Prime Minister of the President of the Republic, whom he welcomed to the Presidential Palace. The objective of this visit served as a framework for the elaborations of an overview of the relations of exchange and cooperation between the two sister nations, with exceptional links woven by the thread of geographical proximity and the community of culture, values, and language.
For his part, the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Ghadir Kamil Mohammed, expressed in his speech his thanks and gratitude to the Somali Prime Minister for accepting the invitation.
The Prime Minister of Djibouti, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, has indicated that the Prime Minister of Somalia, we are the ones who invited him to come and visit our country. It is true that we have already seen each other in Tunis during the summit of TICAD, and from there we started our discussions. We want to strengthen the bond of cooperation with the large Somali neighbor, a bond of technical cooperation we must put in place, and that is the reason why I invited him, and I thank him for coming to Djibouti to visit us, and I hope it won't be the last. We want a continuous relationship, and that is the reason for his presence with his delegation.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdillah, and the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, welcomed last night on the tramway of Humbuli Airport the members of the Djiboutian Medical Assistance Mission that was dispatched to Mogadishu in the aftermath of the deadly attacks. After the success of this medical mission, which was sent on the instruction of the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Minister of Health, greeted in person all the members of this mission who supported the Somali health authorities to treat and assist the Somali injured people. The minister thanked on behalf of the Djiboutian nation the entire medical team for their commitment and contribution to the many injured Somalis by providing them with appropriate care on site in Mogadishu. The commendable initiative of medical solidarity launched by the Djibouti has generated messages of gratitude by the federal government of Somalia, while being highly commended throughout the Horn of Africa and the sub-region. In addition, the Republic of Djibouti also had donated a large consignment of medicines and medical equipment as part of this medical mission. This is the second Djiboutian medical mission of its kind, underlines the exemplary frontier solidarity that continues between the two sister republics of Somalia and Djibouti. In his speech, the Minister of Health stated, and I quote, "I would like to salute and express all the gratitude and recognition of the nation for all that you have done on behalf of the Republic of Djibouti. You volunteered to help our brothers and sisters in Somalia. With hard work, dedication, and a certain exemplary and professionalism, you have completed your mission in Mogadishu with flying colors. Congratulations," he concluded. This Thursday morning, the Ministry of Women and Family, in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection and the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, organized an important workshop on women and the informal sector in the meeting room of the Sheraton Hotel in Djibouti. The workshop was attended by the Ministry of Women and Family, Mrs. Muna Usman Adan, Mr. Umar Abdi Saeed, Minister of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection, the Minister of Trade, Mr. Mohammed Warsa Madire, representatives of various government departments, and several senior officials and sectoral experts. The main objective of the workshop was to improve and strengthen the social and economic utility of the informal sector. The dynamism and flexibility of the informal sector assets at this level, it would be enough to ensure the sustainability of these assets by reassuring women workers on their future through appropriate formulas of social protection and labor legislation capable of preserving both the interests of the state and those of women working in the formal sector. Under the auspice of the Ministry of Youth and Culture, the Antenna of Young Entrepreneurs of Ali Sabih affiliated to the Club of Young Djibouti Entrepreneurs with the support of the Prefecture and the Regional Authority of Decentralization. This morning, the fourth edition of the Regional Fair of Ali Sabih was launched on the Esplanade adjoining the premises of the Prefecture or the local Square of Independence. The event is part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week that the Djibouti Youth Entrepreneurship Club, in particular its branch As a Joke, in close collaboration with the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, organized the implementation of this fair and popular in the city of Ali Sabih. The launching ceremony of this fourth edition of this regional fair, which is once again a golden opportunity for a youth full of talent and creativity, was officially integrated by the prefect of the region, Mr. Musa Aden Migan, accompanied by the minister, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, Minister of the region, as well as the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibo Mu'min Asowe, the Chairman of the Regional Council of Ali Sabih, Sharmanke Hassan Alale. This fourth fair has excited the people of Ali Sabih who came in huge masses. It demonstrated the impressive degree of creativity of their sons and daughters, the visitors from all social categories and all ages grouped. They stayed and admired all the products presented in the different stands of this commercial exhibition.
tahay hablihii cabaadhyada lahaa dhacdihii cunaabiga xidhnaa.
As part of the policy of inclusive education, the Ministry of Education and Vocational Training has initiated a program of accelerated education for the benefit of young people who do not attend school and or who have dropped out of school. Thus, on Sunday, November 6th, the first day of school for young people aged 9 to 16 who left school early or who have never been to school took place. These young people will benefit from an accelerated education program in distinguished schools. The young people who enrolled were welcomed by school principals and teachers trained for the occasion. Following a level test, 3 categories of learners were identified. Level 1 is for learners who have never been to school before. Level 2 is for those who have some knowledge but still need to be reinforced. And Level 3 is for students who have the required foundation to continue learning. These new specialized structures offer these young people the opportunity to benefit from adapted learning, which will be given to them by experienced teachers under the supervision of pedagogical advisors and inspectors. The digital transformation of our societies accelerated by COVID-19 pandemic affects all economic sectors and leads to the development of new digital professions. As part of the policy of integration of graduates of technical education and vocational training, the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training organized a workshop to establish a platform grouping training centers and companies in the place. This workshop was attended by the heads of institution, vocational training center, the direction of information technology and advisors in insertion and orientation of vocational training. After the beginning of the training of judicial authorities and clerks trainers, the National School of Judicial Studies launched today, Thursday, November 10, the training of student lawyers who are 20 applicants. The student lawyers who are destined to become future lawyers will receive training at the ENEJ headquarters through the teaching of fundamental practices to the exercise of their profession, to which is added an internship in a law firm. The objective is to prepare them for the practice of the legal profession. Theoretical and practical courses include ethics and the statute of the lawyer, the practice of the lawyer's profession, and the drafting of professional documents, the criminal lawyer, the management and development of a law firm. At the end of their theoretical and practical training, student lawyers must complete a 6-month internship in a law firm, which will allow them to acquire the knowledge of the lawyer's profession with the drafting of the legal acts essential to the profession, the practice of the rights of the defense before all jurisdiction, the apprehension of the request for justice and its shaping by the lawyer, the accompaniment of the legitimate at all stages of the procedure. The Djiboutian Francophone Press Union, in collaboration with UNICEF, launched today at the Institute of Diplomatic Studies of Djibouti the Working for a Coaching Workshop for young people on writing articles and making short videos. The launching ceremony of this workshop, which will last 3 days, was attended by the president of the UPF Djibouti, Mr. Kennedy Ibrahim Hussein, the president of UNICEF in Djibouti, the communication officer of UNICEF, and about 20 young people who will benefit from this training. Addressing the training of young people on writing articles and making short videos, the president of the UPF Djibouti said that it aims to better equip them to acquire the basics of writing and small essential techniques of audiovisual, but also to become familiar with the rights of children who they are called to participate in the promotion and protection. He stressed that this workshop will also include a practical part. At the end of this training, the young people will have produced a number of articles, videos, and photos that will be presented as part of the celebration of Universal Children's Day on November 20. For her part, the UNICEF representative in Djibouti indicated that for UNICEF, young people are partners and agents of change who can positively influence the issues that affect their lives individually and collectively. In a speech delivered on this occasion, the president of the UPF Djibouti recalled the good collaboration that exists between his organization and UNICEF, which in the past have jointly organized several activities, including the National Media Award for Children's Rights, the Week of the Press in colleges and high schools. He thanked UNICEF for this partnership and that trust placed in UPF Djibouti. The National Agency for Persons with Disabilities organized a focus group workshop on mainstreaming disability in public policies and programs at Sheraton Hotel. This workshop was chaired by the Director General of AMPH and sought the participation of the officials of the agency AMPH, people with special needs. This focus group aimed to respond to the need to better understand certain actions related to the issue of disability, and particularly that which affects children. During the workshop, the Director General of AMPH made a point of specifying the importance of this focus group on the understanding and the reasons that could lead to such an attitude. A ceremony of inauguration of a new pavilion of the market of Dakhil took place on Monday, November 7th. As part of the organization of the inauguration ceremonies of a new pavilion of the market of Dakhil, the President of the Regional Council of Dakhil, Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmed, has, in the presence of the Prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Adan Darar Musa, welcomed in his office an important delegation composed of the Head of Cooperation of the European Union Delegation, the French Ambassador, the Cabinet of Expertise France, the Secretary General of the MDCD, Mr. Mohamed Isa, as well as the Technical Advisor of the Ministry of Decentralization, Mr. Usman Musa. During this reception, the local authorities and the host delegation discussed the assets and potentials of this region market, especially in the social fields. On his side, the President of the Prefect of Dakhil did not fail to clarify many points that concern the region. Before leaving the meeting, gifts were offered on Her Excellency the Ambassador of France, who wished to start her first working visit in the region of Unity. A few moments later, the delegation led by the authorities of the region went to the place of the inauguration ceremony of the Pavilion Center of the Market of Dakhil and was welcomed with an acclamation by a huge crowd. Then the authorities of the region and the officials followed in turn to express words of welcome and thanks to the host delegations. Then the Head of Cooperation of the European Union and the Secretary General of the Ministry of Decentralization and the Ambassador of France proceeded together to the inauguration, cutting of the ribbon, and family photo followed by a visit to the new market pavilion. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, a new treatment center opened nearly 150 kilometers from the Ugandan capital, Kampala. More details with Mohamed Aden.
Ebola fear is gaining ground in Uganda as a new treatment center opens nearly 115 kilometers from the Ugandan capital, Kampala. The latest strain of the Ebola virus is sparking fear among residents of Kasanda and Mubende. To date, 53 people have died, including children, out of more than 135 cases, according to figures from the Ugandan Ministry of Health, raising fears that the highly contagious disease is spreading through the country. The Ebola virus is highly contagious and is transmitted through bodily fluids. While justified, the fear of the people is also linked to the misinformation that the disease is airborne. The most common symptoms are fever, vomiting, bleeding, and diarrhea. Sometimes this misinformation leads relatives of victims to exhume bodies after burial to perform traditional ritual, an act that has caused spikes in infection.
Cameroon announced on Wednesday its 26th men's squad for the World Cup and will rely on its core players. Let's listen again to Mohamed Aden.
The World Cup 2022, the 26th Indomitable Lions, now Cameroon, has unveiled its 26-man squad for the World Cup on Wednesday and will be relying on its key players, Franck Zambo Anguissa and Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, who have been in fine form recently to compete in a Group G that includes Brazil. The Indomitable Lions, who will start the World Cup in Qatar against Switzerland on 24 November, will be able to count on the in-form strikers Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, who has scored 9 times in his last 8 games for his club Bayern Munich. Rigobert Song men's will face Serbia 28 November and conclude the group stage with a match against the favorite Brazil 2 December. Franck Zambo Anguissa will be among the leaders of the Cameroon team. The 26-year-old midfielder is off to one of the best starts of his career with Napoli, the Italian league leaders, who finished top of their Champions League group ahead of Liverpool.
Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.